Greetings! In this video I'm going to be showing you how you can set a timed test using Firefly. I'm going to be showing you a couple of ways you can do it, what it looks like from the pupil's perspective, how you mark them, and so on. Now a class test is in effect a different type of page that you make in the resources area. So you don't actually set it through tasks, you make it as a resource page. So I'll just show you here. We're going to press the create button. You've got your usual types, you click in more templates, and we're looking for the one here that says class test. You give it a title, so we'll just call this testy, and we'll click done. And it looks like a completely blank page as things normally are, and you get the usual options of adding questions. So let's imagine this was my instructions, and I'll show you a page I've made for this in a minute. And then we put a question, and you can put in lots of questions into this class test, or just one, depending on what you do. So let's just put in two questions, for example. What is 2 plus 2? We'll make this one multiple choices. So we'll give the option of 1, we'll give the option 2, we'll give the option 3, we'll give the option 4, and then I'll tick that one as correct. And I can give an explanation if I want, and I can also mark it manually, or I can make it mark automatically. So there's one of those in, and let's just put in like a kind of an essay question. So we'll put in a kind of a paragraph 1. Class tests are cool, discuss, and I can also choose the amount of marks that this particular question is worth. So if this was an essay, this might be worth kind of 24, and then I pressed done. You can also set a class test where they can actually upload a file. So again, let's do that one here. Let's ask them for a file upload, so we can again put the question in. So we can say, I don't know, I was going to put something about Corona, but I probably kind of shouldn't. Staff meetings are on Mondays. To what extent is this true? And I'm going to give this a weight of 6 marks because there's plenty to discuss, and that's going to ask for a file upload. Okay, so there's my page. Now, it's a class test. What's different? So what we do is we go up to the top right hand side where we see the publish button, and we click the little arrow here, and we've got an option which we don't normally have. This is the usual stuff about who can see it and what template we've used and so on. But if we go into more page options, we now have this additional one here called test that says add a time limit. And so this is where you choose the time limit to enforce a timed test. If you want it to be timed. Now you can't set more than one time limit. So if you want an extra time version and a non-extra time version, make a page and then copy that page, and then name the second one extra time and then add it in. So let's give this test a 10-minute time limit. In fact, you know what? Let's give it a 1-minute time limit. Let's go crazy. And we'll hit change page and we'll go in. Now this page is in effect ready to go. I'm going to press publish, and there it is. Now this is what it looks like to me. This has a test of time limits. I can see all the questions, but now let's have a look at it from the pupil's perspective. So I'm going to go over here, and we're going to go to this the same page as a student. And so what the student sees when they go to this page is this: test, testy westy, time limit 1 minute, candidate's name, SMS, pupil. But note, they do not see the questions until they press start. And as soon as they press start, the test will begin. And that is the key difference in this class difference page, is that in this class test page, is that the students can't see it until they press start. Now, think this one through. It's individual to me. So I'm Bill, and my friend over there is Bob. Bill can press start, Bob can look at his questions, and then Bob can think about those questions and then press start over there. But as long as they all kind of press start at the same time, then they can't share questions. But it does mean students can do it at individual times, which has benefits and it has kind of drawbacks. But by and large, we can trust our pupils. And if we kind of say to them, we're all going to start this at the same time, or if you set it during a lesson and they all press start at the same time, that's not going to be an issue. But it's something to be in mind that the student chooses when they press start, not the teacher. And then we press start. And once we've hit start, all the questions will now appear. Now, if I move out of the way, at the bottom here, I can see the time. As the student, I can see that clock ticking down. So I'm going to go, what is 2 plus 2? I'm going to say that it's 4. Class tests are cool. Yes, they are. Staff meetings are on Mondays. I'll choose a file. I've only got 30 seconds, so I've got to do it quickly. Let me just grab something kind of random here. I'll get a mod list from a computer game that I made many, many years ago. And it tells me here that submitting this test is final. I can't go back and change my answers, and I've got a submit button that I can press when I'm ready. day. Now what I do, and I'll just kind of let the clock count down here, what I do is I say to students, well, if your internet connection goes down, you might have a problem here. So anything where you're kind of typing your answers, it might be worth you kind of typing them in a Word document and then kind of copying them across. Because for most students, most of the time this will be fine, but you know there will be that one student that will work for ages, they'll type for ages, and their internet will go down as they press the submit button, and then it goes. Right, I didn't press submit there. It says you have completed this test, but your mark has not been released by your teacher. Send a request to Mr. S. Cox to resubmit your work. Now, if I refresh this page, say I want to try and do the test again, if I refresh the page, it remembers me because I'm logged into Firefly, and it says you've completed this test. But it says the same thing, so I can't get back in to this test. Now let's go back in and look at it, the same page now as a teacher. If I refresh this page, you'll see nothing's changed, and so now I can now press this button that says display report, and I can now see the students that have done it. If the entire test was multiple choice, like automatically marked, it would mark the whole lot for it. But because there are some things there I need to mark, then I need to kind of go in there. So you can see there, the file I uploaded is there. You can see that yes they are is there, and you can see that it has actually marked the multiple choice one for me. So you can make kind of combinations of these. So what I would do is I would kind of go, well done, task tests are cool. No, they are not. And I will put in 11. I will say lovely file, and I'll give this one a mark of 4 or whatever, or 3. And then and then you can add overall feedbacks and overall grades and levels. So I can kind of put more stuff in this. So I'm going to give myself a B+ because I'm that kind of a guy. And I'm going to release the mark immediately, or I can actually mark all of them and then release them all at the same time. And I'm going to press save marks and feedback, and then it's going to give me an error, which makes me sad. Well, we're just going to pretend that didn't happen because that's going to ruin the whole video. I'm just going to press it again. There we go. So, and then it says here, now it says the status over there says released, which means the student now has got their mark. So if I now go back over here and I press refresh, hopefully he will have my kind of grades. So the student here can see that they got 1 out of 1. They can see the marks that they were kind of given. It looks like it hasn't saved the mark because of the error, but it did save the feedback. So there we go. It's always good to get an error on a video because it shows that I'm not infallible either. So there we go. So there's one way of doing the kind of the timed class tests. The other way of doing them is to set a task in the usual way. Is to set a task in the usual way, and then to set the due date on the kind of the same day as you were setting it. Now, obviously, that's a far bigger kind of time span, but when we are kind of doing quarantine stuff, you can kind of set an unofficial time limit simply by giving a due date and being a lot strict about it, or a due date of the same day. So for example, if we're if you're releasing this task at 11 and you're saying it's also going to be due on the same day, realistically the student, although it's not giving them an hour, they still only have that day to do it, and if they've got a few assessments to do, they aren't going to be able to really kind of go much beyond the boundaries of the test anyway. So there's a kind of more simple way of doing it. One last thing to say is that when you're using this class test method, you can't copy that test to the task description, and I'll explain what I mean there. Normally what we do when we make a page, if we want to then copy that test into a task, we go down to the bottom and we press this button here that says copy page to task description. Now that doesn't work with this type of pages, so what we do instead is we go and grab the link from the top, we press copy, we then set a new task, and we do all our usual bits and bobs, saying about when it's due and all that kind of stuff, and then what we have to do is then paste that link into the description and tell the student to kind of click on it there. Although it's now unhelpfully not allowing me to set a new task. I don't know why. Maybe my internet's gone down. But basically, I've got that link right now. So if I set the new task and I kind of go in, I'll paste that link into the description. The student will click on it, and then they can kind of get to that page. So there you go. Class tests. They're pretty cool. I haven't used them all that much, but I do like the fact that they're there. And as we're kind of moving into the assessment season, I may try them with a particular class. Just the big asterisk I would always say to the student is, before you submit, save a copy of your answers somewhere, because internet errors do happen and you don't want them to lose the work that they've done. All right.